Hey, good morning. Welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I am Ken Walls, and I'm your host. And I've had a long day already. Been up early and was on Lisa Copeland's show this morning. And gee, many Christmas, it's been crazy. So, listen, I have an awesome guest on today. A guy that I've been friends with on Facebook for quite a while. I know he's an entrepreneur. He does a lot of the same stuff I do. So I want to go ahead and bring my buddy Ron Suzuki on the show. Ron, welcome to the show, man.
Oh, it's a pleasure and an honor to be on the show with you. Definitely been a fan of yours for a while now. It's been a good long while that I've been following you as well. So
well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, you had reached out to me at some point. I don't remember. You were having some kind of a conference, and I don't remember what it was. Did you ask me to speak at it or something? I don't remember.
I think I asked to feature your book released, I swear, within like 3 weeks before my first entrepreneur conference.
Okay.
So I actually had a conference last year in 2017 in September.
Yeah.
And I wanted to feature a lot of great entrepreneurs, so I kind of looked at you as one of those.
Well, dude, I appreciate that, man. I really do. I'm just a guy like you. I'm out here just hustling and grinding and giving everything I have every day, man. So, let's start with this. This show is all about having breakthroughs in life. A lot of people get stuck. They hit a wall and they get stuck. Now, my last name being Walls is kind of convenient when it comes to naming a show. So my wife came up with the title of the show, Breakthrough Walls. And I've had some amazing guests on the show, Jeffrey Gitomer, Sharon Lechter, Lisa Copeland. I could go on all day. Bob Berg. I've done 130 of these, I think, and so what's interesting is there's a lot of common threads among what people say, has held them back in life. So I'm pretty curious in your story. So let's start with telling everybody, who you are and where you were born and raised.
Okay, so born in what people consider paradise, Pahoa, Hawaii. Now, Hawaii, the big island of Hawaii, is actually the home island I'm from. So people ask, which island are you from in Hawaii? I'm from the big island of Hawaii. That's a confusion there. If it helps for people to understand worldwide, it's where about 6 months ago, maybe 4 months ago, we had the lava flow. And CNN and the World News was all over it because it actually tore through some neighborhoods. So I grew up right next to an active volcano.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Good Lord have mercy.
Yeah, so it's not as dramatic as maybe some of the movies make it seem.
Yeah.
In some cases, the lava can move at 1 mile per hour. Or in this most recent case, it was actually a surprise. It moved about 15 miles per hour. That's like the top speed. So
15?
Yeah. So you can actually see the lava coming and run away pretty far.
So you can outrun it.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. That would stink.
Yeah.
So,
but it's very rural part. I mean, very much countryside. I actually spent a little bit of time on my uncle's farm. Getting the real entrepreneur, or origin, I guess you could say, of the human story is farming. So, wake up at a certain time, get stuff done because, either the animals won't get fed or you got to clean up a bunch of stuff or you get, because animals, they do the opposite of eating. So you got to clean that stuff up.
Right. Yeah. Right. So what kind of, what was it, just a livestock farm then?
I'm sorry, say it again. We lost you there for a second.
Oh, sorry. It may have had an internet hiccup. So was it like a livestock farm?
Not really. More like just clearing sugarcane and taking care of a horse.
Oh, okay.
At least one horse. Yeah. But definitely in that environment, we actually moved out there. So it was no running water, well, no running water pump, um, and no electricity and a couple of solar panels. So I really got in touch with, like reading and educating myself. In addition to high school, I was, going through high school at the time. Um, so, it's just a real country boy kind of story, I guess you could say, but in
Wow.
Hawaii. So,
Wow. So, and in Hawaii. Now,
yeah,
you have your last name Suzuki. That's Japanese, right?
correct.
Okay.
So the origin behind that is 200 years ago. Well, really more like 160 years ago. Grandpa and grandmas from China and Japan
Ah,
came over to work the plantations in Hawaii. And versus the slave story in the South, it was actually more like indentured servitude. Um, but the one huge plus that came out of the promises that were made to the Asian immigrant farmers was that after a period of time, I can't remember if it was 30 or 50 years, they were allowed to have one plot of land which they fulfilled the promise to. So that's huge. Obviously, we know in human history, land ownership is huge.
yeah.
Uh, not to say that I participated in that because my father was a bit of a hippie, so he actually grew up in the city, a nice populated part of Oahu and Honolulu.
Wow.
Uh, and in the 70s, he decided he wanted to be a hippie and live on a farm or something. So
Wow. Very
yeah,
cool though. So
yeah,
so you grew up in what, 70s, 80s?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so in Hawaii, is that where you went to you went to grade school, middle school, high school there?
Absolutely. So it was, you don't realize you grew up in a meager environment until you actually watch TV. Probably in the 80s, you watch TV and you see, like family sitcoms, like, wow, they bathe indoors, you know? So,
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
and there's a couple of times, it's kind of, water and potatoes will be dinner sometimes, but then sometimes it'll be, steak dinners.
Right,
So it's
right.
that whole flux of the 80s and 90s when, dad would lose a job and get a job and lose a job and get a job type of thing.
Sure.
It was great family environment until one day when I was about 13 years old, he left out of the blue. I didn't see him again for 19 years. Only recently, as 2010, I met up with him again and we kind of reconciled.
Wow.
And I kind of let go of a long time ago. I let go of a lot of anger from that. A lot of what is it? Separation anxiety, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe it was a blessing because mom would try to work these odd jobs, and so I kind of raised myself through my teenage years.
Yeah.
Um, and I actually would put myself in good environments where people valued family values. Some of the other friends from school and everything took me in, and I really understood the brotherhood and sisterhood of a small unit looking out for each other.
Yeah.
Because maybe they were kind of like, in a sense, not really orphans, but I don't remember the latchkey kid generation. Mom and dad are at work, so we kind of raise ourselves type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Wow.
but I was a kind of person. A big thing, and probably the breakthrough wall part of what my discussion is fear. You know,
Right.
I uh, I'll be afraid of a lot of things. Especially with myself, and especially building an identity as a young man.
Yeah.
So one of the bold things I decided to do was to get into the habit of getting out of my comfort zone. And being in a small town, I always felt like there was a bigger world because the world would come and visit Hawaii. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah.
I meet people from Britain, from Russia, from Finland,
Yeah.
and I'll drive to the end of the ocean, the end of the water, and it's like there's water, and I drive to the other side of the island, there's water. It's like, man, so much more of a world out there.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah,
and Hawaii is a long ways. I mean,
yeah,
it's a long, long ways from mainland here in the U.S. So it's like,
yeah,
I mean, it's a long ways. It's out there, way out there.
yeah.
So I have a good friend who's from Hawaii as well, and his whole family, and he's of Japanese descent, and he worked for me for quite a while, and just love this dude. He's just actually very calm and just smart as heck. I mean, he's so smart. But like I think that with being raised there, I mean, so did you graduate from high school there then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And did you end up going to college?
Not at that time.
Okay.
Not at that time. So my education path went a bit differently. And it was a big turning point. So I'll go through a little bit of turning points quickly in this, in this hour call. I was working at a grocery store. And one of the, about, like 17, 18 or something. And one of the guys that had been there for about 6 years, he says, man, you do such a great job here. One day you're going to be successful like the produce manager. And I looked at, and he wasn't a bad guy. He helped me out a lot. This produce manager guy, he was a really great guy. But, I looked at him and he's in his, 50s and everything too. And it's like, is that the best that my hometown has to offer, is to be the produce manager? Like,
right?
No, yeah, it's not for me.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No offense to any produce managers.
But I was like, there's a whole world to see and everything too. And somewhere along that path, I made the decision to join the U.S. Navy.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
While you were in Hawaii?
Yeah. From, I prepared my mind for this big, huge thing. Like you would have thought I was preparing for Navy SEALs and Marine Corps versus the Navy.
Yeah, right.
My mind. So I would do things like I never did before. Like I was always afraid of heights before.
Right.
And I decided, okay, some friends climbed up this steep cliff top and everything over this waterfall and jumped out over the rocks into the pond below. And when you stand at that cliff face, you can see the rocks close to where you are in the water peeking out. So you have to jump out. You must have to jump out at least 4 feet away from the cliff face to not end up dead on the rocks.
Right. Wow. So you did it?
Yeah, I did it. And I was like, that was the first moment. That's the first time ever I conquered my fear.
Wow.
And of course I survived. I didn't hit that, the rocks.
Well, I'll bet that as a small child, when you were learning how to walk and you fell and banged your face on the floor, you got back up and did it again. So that was probably the first time you overcame your fear.
Yeah, as an adult, right? Yeah, as a,
kind of an unconscious thing, right?
And I guess it became a symbol. Then from there, I wasn't really a physically fit guy in school or anything. So I hooked up with this gentleman that was a firefighter. He reminded me of the gentleman from the Green Mile, the big burly giant guy.
Yeah.
And he would train me to run a mile, swim 500 miles, and run a mile again. Now, even at 18 years old, that is freaking killer exercise.
Swim how far? You just said swim 500 miles.
No, 500 meters.
Oh, okay. Like, wow, dude.
Still killer. No.
Yeah.
No, that'll be like swimming across the channel or something.
Right.
So, but I prepared my mindset with that, and he trained me for that. So by the time I got to Navy boot camp, I was like, this is way easier than I thought it would be.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Now, did you go to Great Lakes?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so now let me ask you this, because I've been up to Great Lakes. My brother was in the Navy. That's where he went to basic training. So, and I was up there for his graduation. But so when had you ever been off the island of Hawaii?
When I was about 11 years old, my aunt took me on a tour of the Northeast and the East Coast of the United States. And that's probably where a huge part of my understanding that there was a whole another world that really, I was 1 month tour and everything.
Well, what month of the year was it?
I'd say it was about August.
Okay, so it was still nice and warm.
Yeah.
When you went to Great Lakes, what month was it?
It was, good question. It was about April of 1997,
Okay.
and for some reason there was this late snowstorm that came in, and it
Yeah.
was my first experience with snow. I was like, "What the heck is that white stuff falling from the sky?"
Right. And why is it so cold? Where's the ocean?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
You
yeah,
got Lake Michigan up there or something. So with the so that had to be. I mean that culturally, not culturally. What's the word I'm looking for? It had to be a huge change from what you were used to, as far as climate is concerned. Climate, that was a word, not culture.
yes, yes.
Right. So,
Yeah.
excuse me. So, when you were at Great Lakes,
Mhm.
you're in boot camp. You're being told what to do
Mhm.
and everything.
Yep.
I from my understanding, they're actually quite they beat you up pretty hard mentally, at least, right, to break you,
Yep.
to build you back up, obviously. So here
Yep.
you are. You're now in the Navy. How old were you?
I was, let's see, I was 19 at the time. Yeah.
19 years old. You're in the U.S. Navy in the middle of. Excuse me. I've got a tickle in my throat here. So you're in the U.S. Navy now. You're in Great Lakes, which for those of you who don't know where Great Lakes is, it's it's north of Chicago, up in Waukegan,
Mhm.
Illinois, right?
Yes.
Just shy of Wisconsin. I mean, it's right across the bridge from Milwaukee.
Yes.
So, and sailors are actually despised up in that area. I didn't know that, but they actually are not very well liked. So I remember being up there with my brother, and there were people that had signs in their yards that said "Sailors and dogs keep off of grass."
Yes.
Like, oh my God, wow. Yeah, you're welcome. We protect your freedom. You're welcome. But
Yeah.
and thank you, by the way, for your service, Ron. So, so what happened after boot camp? It looks like you survived.
So, I really had this dream in high school, actually, of working in the electronics field. Totally outside of farming, totally outside of the culture, I was grew up in that rural town, because I knew that electronics were going to be this constant of mankind's, growth. So, so if I figured if I went down that route of having an actual trade, that could build upon a future from there. And boy, I'm glad I made the decision. So I became an aviation electronics technician, which is basically aircraft avionics repair guy. Um,
What kind of aircraft? Helicopters or jets?
Helicopter. I specialize in two aircraft: the helicopter radar systems and was what's known as the E-2C Hawkeye,
Yep.
which is a surveillance aircraft. It has that big dome on the top of it and some
Yep.
propellers on it. No armaments at all, but all technology from tail to nose technology out.
Yeah. Right.
So much so that my 20s was soaked up by banging my head against these radar systems were complex and radio systems that are complex repairs.
Wow.
But I got really pretty decent at it, and also the management side of it too. And grew through the ranks. Just enlisted ranks from E1. Completed out my career at 15 years at E6.
Wow.
The pinnacle of my career was my last deployment in 2008 to 2009, where I led 21 sailors on an aircraft carrier in a shop. It's a laboratory shop environment,
Yeah.
and I definitely it became a test of my abilities. Even at that age, I was about 30. Tested my abilities to manage a process and go into a war combat support environment
Sure.
for maintenance. So
What carrier were you on?
on that one was a USS Theodore Roosevelt. But before that, in 2001 through 2003, was the USS Constellation,
Yep.
which was the second to last non-nuclear carrier.
The
And
my brother was on the Stennis.
Okay,
And then I think before that, what was the one during the first Gulf War? He was over on was the Stennis there, or was it the I forget. He was on two different carriers. One of them they retired.
Yeah.
So so did you end up in Norfolk?
So I kind of went around a bit. Norfolk was my last station, which the 2007 to 2012.
Yeah.
It was that time period of my tours, two tours at Norfolk, and one of them being on a ship. But my first tours were in San Diego, and then on the Constellation, I was doing a little bit of air support out of North Los Angeles, a small base called Point Mugu. Which is kind of neat and kind of segues into my future. It's the closest military base to Hollywood.
Wow.
So during a time period of my tour there, several different movies were filmed there. I guess almost every military movie of the early 2000s, Pearl Harbor, the Wind Talkers and all that stuff was filmed there.
Wow.
And so there will always be these film crews that come through there. And that's where I get into my college experience. I got inspired by I had a little bit of time there on that small base. So I signed up for college. And over a period of time, I got my 2-year degree in liberal arts. Mm-hmm. So, and one of the things, and going back to about fear, on my first tour on 2001, so you got to understand, this is a deployment on the USS Constellation that began around March of 2001 and was scheduled to conclude on September 15th, 2001. So if you can imagine, during that period, Osama bin Laden was making this promise that he was going to hit a high-level target in the summer of 2001.
Yeah.
And the year before that was the USS Cole. So the military thinking was very conventional and traditional at the time. It was, if he means a bigger target, it means the bigger U.S. Navy battle groups, which would include the carrier.
Right.
So in that regard, now this is pre-9/11, of course.
Yeah, right.
The mentality is, everything that's military that touches land in the Middle East needs to be super protected. So there's this situation. I'm an aviation electronics guy, and for some reason the ship pulls the port, and they want to protect the perimeter around the carrier.
Right.
So I go to what's called this gate watch, and this gate watch was just me in a normal uniform with kind of normal Navy uniform with no armor, no gun, no helmet, and the security guys, these guys got vests and guns and everything. They say, hey, your job is to go out to these cars. The guy is going to leave the car, and he's going to open up all his car doors and trunk and everything, and your job is to smell for licorice or look for wires.
Oh, jeez.
Now, they never said your job is to look for car bombs ever in the training cycle. So
wow.
So I see these guys behind these concrete barriers with helmet, armor, and guns.
Yeah.
And they hide behind this thing, and me and this other guy will go out to this car and go and pick up whatever was in the trunk,
Oh my God. And why licorice? You're off camera, by the way. Go move back over to your right if you would. There you go.
Yeah. So because I guess they supposedly car bombs give off some kind of licorice smell at a time.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah. So
wow.
So it was like this, and it's my closest thing to action. That's the only time I ever got anywhere near the vicinity of getting hurt, in the military.
Oh my gosh.
In capacity. So
did you find any?
Well, obviously I'm still here, so.
Well, I know, but it doesn't mean it went off.
Yeah.
Did you find any that were no?
No, nothing. I'm so thankful for that. But I would think in my head, this scenario is like, I hope I see a white light and visit God when this happens,
Yeah, no kidding.
So, but once you go through that kind of process, it wasn't about, and like they say, the whole combat, nowhere near, I'm not going to glamorize my military career, but, there was the guys on the ground and Marines and Army and soldiers that really do the real hardcore war effort.
Yeah.
Are honored their service. Some of my best friends are combat veterans, and even Navy SEAL veterans and everything too. So I don't want to make it seem like, oh, Ron would check, supposedly check for car bombs, but it really did make me think that the reason why I did that and I wanted to do that was to protect my brothers and sisters from the perimeter.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it was a politics aside and everything. It's always about the brothers and sisters.
Right. Wow,
And
man.
Yet again, another thing to overcome fears.
I would have said no. I'm not doing it. You guys do it. I'm not doing it.
So,
yeah,
but
no, I'm not doing it. Not for me.
Obviously, when on our way back from Hawaii, I got a nice visit in Hawaii on September 8th through the 10th of 2001.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine we're on the way back to San Diego. We have sons, daughters, and moms and dads on the ship with us for the family tour. And then we find out what happens, turn on the TV and all that. And my first thought in my head was, gosh darn it, if it wasn't supposed to be us versus a whole group of civilians in a tower in New York City or Pentagon or whichever.
Wow.
Right? So it really energized my military spirit for the next, 7 years.
Yeah.
And really threw myself at my career. So I just focused my career on, hey, we have to, provide air support for guys and gals on the ground.
Yep.
And that's really what the Naval Air Force is. So you need a little bit of education. What the Naval Air Force is to provide aircraft at every 1,000 feet so that when some Marine or soldier calls in for air support, they're right there, be able to drop bombs and provide cover fire.
Yeah.
So,
that's incredible, man. And listen, I have a nephew that was in the Air Force. My brother-in-law was an F-4 pilot. His son, my nephew, was an F-16 pilot in the Air Force. And then I have another nephew by marriage that was a drone pilot. So, what all you guys do is absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And people think, well, being a drone pilot, what that just sitting? No, dude, there's a lot to it, And
yes.
and so you spent a lot of time in the Navy. 15 years is a long time.
Yes, and the very first thing that people from the military families or environment or veterans would ask me is like, Ron, why the heck were you kicked out? Did you have a dishonorable discharge? Why did you not stay for the last 5 years and collect that pension paycheck guaranteed?
Right.
And I did leave with the honorable discharge. It was voluntary. My tour was done. My completion of my services were done.
Right.
My contract was done. And in my sense, of course, the war on terror came to a conclusion. So that's a very small piece of it. But really, it was a desire to be an entrepreneur. And some people may think about getting a 4-year. A lot of military veterans think about, okay, I got to get my 4-year degree to be competitive in the workforce.
Right.
And in that 2009 deployment, in the middle of that deployment, in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of the water, I met a gentleman. His name was Michael Green. He was on the ship with me, same unit and everything.
Yeah.
And he had these great pictures on his computer screen of families and babies and everything. And I was like, hey, man, there's no babies on the carrier. So where'd you get that picture?
Yeah.
He said, oh, no, this is from before. I'm re-editing the pictures. I was like, wow. And I said one sentence that changed my life. I've always wanted to be a photographer. Boom. That one sentence in the middle of that deployment, even though I was leading these troops and everything, sent me on this creative tangent.
Yep.
I couldn't draw to save my life. I can't paint to save my life. But for some reason, studying film, a little bit of community college, and being around that Hollywood environment, came and smacked me in the head.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? I want to be a photographer. And I was at kind of like the golden age of digital photography. You didn't have that whole film thing. And I came back and I actually went crazy with it. I opened my own photography studio.
Wow.
Got a lease, signed the lease, started getting wedding clients, started taking pictures in my own studio in Virginia Beach, where I
Yeah.
was stationed. And I did like 33,000 part-time active duty in the military in photography.
Wow, dude. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's like,
Yeah.
who, and that's probably where that decision at the 15 years, I'm like, man, if I can make 33K, barely scratching the surface of part-time, while in the military, you know what? That's what I want to do. I let my contract end and I'll just go do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
here comes nature to come smack a young man in the face, or the universe with
Yeah.
discipline. All of a sudden, in 2012, I went from making that 33K in a year to in 5 months making $2,000.
Yikes.
And by the way, I just left the military, left that constant paycheck.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, something's wrong here.
Right.
Here's you and I going to connect, Ken. I
Yeah.
know it's a long story. Sales. I didn't know what the heck I was doing in sales.
Ah.
Yeah. I had a bride drive 2 hours to my studio. I showed her all my pictures, and she scratched her says that I have to think about it, and she walked out and never heard from her again. I'm like, what? That's never happened to me before. What am I doing wrong?
Right.
And it was, I had zero sales skills. I thought I was just supposed to show pictures to people and it would sell them themselves.
Right.
And that lets me know now, people think in their heads as entrepreneurs, they're supposed to, just show their business and people are compelled to buy,
Yep.
and that's not true. You have to build the sales skills. So I took it upon myself. Here I am getting this constant paycheck. I joined an insurance agency. And boy, did I get an education on sales. And it was
Right.
100% commission, by the way.
Yep. Yep.
And I tell you, that phone, when you don't know what you're doing in sales, becomes a 10,000 pound brick.
Yep.
Yeah, it just
true.
like, I would stutter on calls. All of a sudden, all my social skills melted away.
Right. Yeah. And so that was in 2012, right?
Yeah.
You joined the insurance agency.
Yeah.
And how did things go from there?
So, and I made it known too that I technically was there to learn sales for the benefit of my photography business.
Right.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So instead of going to university, I spent time there building my sales skills. And they had this elite academy. You had to like qualify like crazy, and they would start with 100 people, and only 20 people would graduate. I actually went to the program, and I just knock on doors like hardcore, ground and pound. Make 100 phone calls in a day. Grant Cardone would be proud to have me on his team, type of thing, because I was willing to do it.
Right. Yeah.
And I would have, it would be, like nearly broke. I would go to DC, far away. Go to DC with my gas guzzling truck and be on my last little dimes to try to make a sale and not get a sale and, tail between the legs to drive back to Richmond type of thing. So I was like, man, and I was frustrated. I would literally be that guy that would make hundreds of phone calls in a day and then nobody would buy. And I pounded my fist against the desk one day and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get on YouTube and type in how to make sales call. So how to make sales calls? And there's this weird guy with a southern accent with this beard, and he has this young guy named Jared Gallant in the corner. And it's like, I'm going to show you how to make a sales call.
Wow.
And you probably know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Mr. 10X, Mr. Grant Cardone.
Right.
And it just changed. Like, finally, my answer came in from 2012 to 2013 or so is when I found him. And all of a sudden, like, this guy is actually showing us how to do it. And I think I still have the notebook somewhere.
Wow.
Just about this thick. And I would just sit on YouTube. I didn't have any money to pay into his programs. I would just watch every episode of Cardone Everything.
Yeah.
Go back to his old episodes from the Orlando radio station. Write down everything I heard about sales.
Yep.
And next thing you know, I have this like handwritten sheet of like, this is how you do sales. and it just changed everything. It just changed my entire pattern and everything, and that's probably how I know you now, Ken, is because of that Grant Cardone Super 10X, let's go for it type of world.
Yeah,
So,
I think that we definitely, that's how we connected was through Grant's live streams and everything else. And
yeah,
I'll tell you, I mean, my personal experience with Grant is, he became a friend, he became a client of mine. I had a show on his network for a while, and like the guy, I was a national sales trainer way before I knew who Grant Cardone was. So I was very, very experienced in sales. But when I found him, I was like, this guy's got something different than everybody else does, right? He brings a totally different energy, different perspective, and I love what he teaches. Love what he teaches. Like, you got to go all in, man, and not give up. Like,
yeah,
10x what you think it's going to take, like
yeah,
multiply that times 10, and
yeah,
and that's where you're gonna see more activity, right? So
exactly.
yeah, Sandy McNichols on here, she said millions on the phone.
Yes, I remember that live cast. I remember
Yeah,
all those live webinars.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, he's
Secrets
a
of Closing a
beast.
Sale was a big turning point for me.
What is it?
Secrets of Closing a Sale
Yeah,
webinar.
yep,
I was there for that live webinar. Um, so what happened is that I realized that I was doing myself a disservice for the insurance industry. It just wasn't my passion. It just wasn't. It was
right,
there. It was there as a training platform for me. So I had to make some decisions here and there. Success is a very wayward course
yeah,
to get there. So I ended up going to a 9 to 5 in a corporate world in hardware electronics.
yeah,
And I kind of made an oath to myself that I would do everything I could to graduate from that, I guess, graduate from that university of corporate environment again.
yeah,
So I would have headphones on while I'm working. I was allowed to in my I'm working electronics, soldering things and
yeah,
everything,
yeah,
and I would listen to Cardone like 24/7 to the point where my supervisors, my coworkers were like irritated. Like, Ron, can you please turn the speaker down? We don't want to hear Cardone again.
right, right,
And it would be like this. As a matter of fact, this sign back, the no activity
yeah.
was a big door. As soon as you walked into my office, was smack people in the face type of thing.
Love it,
So,
dude.
so
I love
no
it. I'm
negativity.
looking at that same sign right here at the bottom of my iMac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So spent 4 years with that, and all of a sudden, I was inspired by Cardone's first Growth Con. And I thought, there needs to be something like that for veterans, for veteran entrepreneurs.
Mm.
It's hard for Grant he does work with a lot of veteran entrepreneurs, but it's him not being a veteran, it's hard for the veteran community to accept them, especially in the entrepreneur space.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it upon myself to just kind of listen to what Grant said and just go for it. Hey, just do it and you figure it out rest later.
Right.
So I made GritCon in September of 2017, and brought together some people from the 10X crowd. That's probably why I called you. Your book was just releasing around that time.
Yeah.
And Justin Myers,
Yep.
Sharia May, some local, quasi celebrities in the
Yep.
business. And Brandon Farbstein, who's now doing a lot of big stuff with the Tony Robbins crew and everything, and doing some national tours.
Right.
Had the speaking engagement, had a little dinner for some VIPs, veterans, and I was hoping for 30 to 100 people, and 60 people showed up. I was like, wow, for something that wasn't even a tested practice, or I had a little bit of a sponsor from a veteran buddy of mine, and next thing you know, that event changed everything, just changed the entire dynamic. I was still at my 9 to 5 and that's what I think the audience needs to hear.
Yeah.
At my 9 to 5, and I started a entrepreneur success conference. No validation, no qualification, no certification,
Right.
but just a belief. It wasn't necessarily I wanted to be on stage, but to showcase these entrepreneurs that were doing it, making things happen, and inspire other people. Because I wished there was a GritCon when I was starting a business. And that's where I think I take a lot of things back to is through the heartache of starting a business and falling on my face and everything. I wanted to make sure that entrepreneurs had something like I wish I had.
Yeah.
And maybe you wish you had when you were a new entrepreneur,
Yep.
So, and I think that's why you do this show is because you want to, help people break through walls.
Right.
So,
That's the exact reason, actually. Right.
Exactly, right? So, along the course, in that short period of time, September, October, November, December, January, 17 to 18, I knew that Grant's GrowthCon number 2 was coming up, and I was beyond soda. I missed out on GrowthCon number 1 because I was in my 9 to 5 environment. It's like, okay, I'm going to go to this, and I'm probably going to quit my 9 to 5 job. And for some reason, course of action, course of events, I left a little bit early, a few weeks early in January of 17. Went to GrowthCon number 2. And I tell you, that environment in Vegas in that stadium with Grant Cardone and all these, 3 days worth of everything, blew my mind. It just I thought I knew something about sales and business and Cardone. I didn't. It was beyond a leap and bound. And at conference, my life changed yet again with fear. I already left my 9 to 5 job. By the way, that was a scary thing, by the way, to again leave my 9 to 5 job or leave the Navy, knowing that I've been through an iteration where I flat fell on my face.
Right.
Most people are like, man, I tried that before. I know what happened with that. Man, I'm not going to do that again, Or they tell themselves that, and that's a lie. I think people lie to themselves too much.
Yeah.
And I started to go from a different route of almost putting away fear to the side completely, and just I believe. I believe now. Don't get me wrong. It's not just I believe foolishly, but it's I believe with calculated risk.
Right.
Which is what I think entrepreneurship is a calculated risk. Well, good entrepreneurship is calculated risk and belief.
Yep.
Because the normal logic and the normal odds and normal calculations don't work.
Right.
But if you do that calculated risk and you figure out some pieces, I ended up at that conference deciding to start my own marketing agency and build 2 businesses in one, a professional video production company and a digital marketing firm combined.
Nice, dude.
And I realized that in Richmond, Virginia Beach, or our region of Central Virginia, there was no agency like that already that did that.
Right.
And this was just me and my buddy and another friend. 3 people.
Wow.
Yeah. And my buddy was all aligned. This is the same Michael Green from the 2009 deployment. See, I got to tell you, Michael Green was my best friend. There's a 2-person team, really. From 2009 to even what we're doing now. He's actually on his way. He's actually, like, outside the door.
Is he?
Well, not outside the door. He's with our office manager.
Yeah.
But he's my best friend, best man at my wedding, veteran as well. We're both on a ship. And when you have 2 people that believe and go for business at the same time are aligned, that is like, 1 + 1 = 3 type of mentality.
Yep.
So, and we had another person. And along the way, the right people started showing up. This SEO guy that's been doing that since 1996, before Google even started, came aboard our team.
Yeah.
He was a veteran as well. A software engineer guy that's been doing it for 35 years came on board. Crazy guys. Hey, man, come over here. Okay, what are you going to pay me? I don't know, but I believe we can do this.
Yeah. Right.
By the way, I just left my 9 to 5 job. Come with me. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and just for the record, that's not very calculated.
Yeah.
So I think that if you look at the history of really successful entrepreneurs, the Thomas Edisons of the world, the Steve Jobs of the world, they were literally considered insane for attempting what they were doing because there was no calculation. It was literally just this belief they had that they could change the world.
Yeah.
Right? And it was an insane belief. Like, people were like, "You're nuts. You can't. What are you talking about? You can't do that." Like, And how many entrepreneurial stories are there where they ended up filing bankruptcy not once but multiple times before they finally figured it out?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've been doing what I do for 24 years, and I still haven't figured it out. Every single day I wake up with the hope that I'm going to figure it out, right?
Yes.
And every day I figure out one little tiny piece of it, or I'll have a setback, and now I'll have to, that's the life of being an entrepreneur. There's no perfect path, and anybody that tells you that there is, they're nuts. Don't believe them, because there's not. And you can calculate all day long, and there are things being an entrepreneur that you can't calculate for, and that one is no sales.
Yeah.
Right? Like revenue, the top line is the most important thing in owning a business. So if you don't know how to sell, you don't know how to communicate effectively with other human beings and really take care of the customer in that sense, then you're just basically screwed. So so I think that you've been through it all, man. You've been through it all. How do you guys generate sales now?
All right, so it's kind of weird that we're a digital agency, and I became really good at that handshake business card, build a relationship kind of thing from the insurance days. And we, thanks to our one of our partners, one of the guys that invested in GritCon invested in our business. He threw up a little bit of startup capital. He's a veteran as well, Sam Barton, big in the real estate world, young guy, big in the real estate world. Here in Richmond, and next thing you know, okay, somebody believes in us to help sponsor our dream, but we're going to be great stewards of his investment.
Right. So
we went out, and he helped us land a client, our first client, and there was still that belief. We still didn't have our proof of concept in down. We had specialists in each field, but our unified system wasn't done yet. Our machine wasn't done yet.
Right.
And this guy invested. He invested full price into our program. We got 3.5 months into building his machine for him, his marketing machine for him. He invested about $13,000. By the time we turned on his machine after 3.5 months of making it, so that's video production. When I say machine, we did the video production, website, landing page, and then the marketing system between, social media and some other tools. And you probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we turn on the machine, and within the first 2 weeks, he made $21,000.
Nice.
I'm like, holy cow, this sucker works.
Yeah. Surprise.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I knew I had belief it would work. I just didn't realize it was going to work so well.
Right.
It was like,
right.
that TV, that movie, Office Space, where
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Right.
So, and I wasn't in the industry or your sector before, Ken. When I saw that machine turn on and our client was making that much money beyond what he invested with us, it was like a dream come true. It's like the machine works. Or my belief I threw myself at this. I mean, I threw everything I had, every relationship, every finance, every bank account, every credit thing I had. Even family was like, "What the heck are you doing?" But we believe in you, Ron. That type of thing.
Right.
And even then, to bring my best friend with me, and he went through some heartache and financial troubles, tried to get this going too. To see that machine turn on and start winning for the customer, and then we had proof of concept. I can actually turn that into a case study,
right?
Graph charts and everything, and take that out to the marketplace.
Yep.
And it was, I mean, that's what I'm able to do. I'm able to go to the client at breakfast, bring my phone and a little notebook and a pen, and show him, hey, by the way, type in our client's name or his industry. Let's look at demolition and removal, Richmond, Virginia. Boom, our client pops right up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's that. So the results, right? The results are what people are looking for.
Yeah. And third-party information, like Cardone says, you got to give them something outside of you and themselves as a third party. Like, okay, what's the success with a client of yours, whichever. And then I'm learning from another guy too, the measurable results. If you can put a tape measure around the client's results and then showcase that.
That's
So
where the people that are there's actually still people that invest in the yellow pages, which blows my mind. But like, my wife was the global vice president of marketing for a couple of different companies that do 500 plus million a year.
yeah,
And so, she comes from, she hired way bigger agencies than yours and mine, in the past to work with her in these marketing departments, right?
yeah,
So like, she knows marketing like, it's insane. Like it's like talking to Rain Man sometimes when I'm talking to her. I'm like, could you bring it down a little and talk on my level? Like, because she's so smart and experienced in that realm. And so, but there's also been this huge shift in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And that shift has been with social media.
yeah.
And people are, I did a rant video last night about some people that I see a lot of people that do not know how to use social media properly, and they're trying to promote their business and whatever. So there's just been this huge shift in marketing, and I love it. I think it's phenomenal. I saw it years ago coming, and position myself to be able to take advantage of some of it. So, let me ask you this though. So when it comes to, everybody I have on the show, not everybody, but just about everybody says, when I say, what do you think holds most people back? Almost everybody says fear, right? Because fear is real. Fear is very, very real. And so, do you think that that's what held you back for years, was fear?
I can guarantee that, and specifically the fear of what other people thought of me. And
Right.
that's probably why I sucked at sales in the beginning, because I wanted to be this perfect, polished, nice guy presenter, and I realized presentation is only a piece of it. It's that closing
Right.
the client, and then I have to get, and especially the smile, nice guy, Asian glasses thing. I have to, yeah, I have to. It's great because it draws the leads in, and people feel warm fuzzies with me. But then I was doing too much of the nice guy, so I had to actually had to leap to
Hey,
say things that weren't so nice.
you
Like,
just
hey,
reminded me of the movie The Big Lebowski. I believe the preferred nomenclature is Asian American, dude. So, so,
yeah, so it was I had to convert to be like, hey, if I had to build my belief and my lack of fear of losing the sale. That's what it
right.
was. I was afraid of losing the sale. So to convert over to the Cardone system and call a bride, this is before the agency, call a bride 22 times.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, if you don't hire me, Uncle Joe or Cousin Sue or the random person that thinks they're a photographer is going to mess up your wedding.
Yeah.
They're going to really do that. And you're going to look back and you'll be embarrassed to show your pictures. That bride, she shows it off. She can't stop showing off her pictures. So
Right.
that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I became, and to drop fears a little bit, help people. If you know your product is that good, that it saves your customer from the hacks out there,
Yeah.
then that will just be like, yeah, it's just it. And you have to do business with me, or else it would be a disservice. I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't push hard to call you 22 times or whichever.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
so,
right. I love it, dude.
yeah.
So has that changed your business, changed your life?
Oh yes.
Now you're making millions?
I'm just trying to get there, but the capacity, what I stand in awe is that the team has put me as the front man to be the sales guy. I move myself away. I know glasses and Asian, all the stuff, but techie, I'm moving myself away from the techie and more into the sales guy. But some people say that sales is not something that you learn to like or love. I'm actually enjoying it.
Yeah, good.
I watch some what is that? Those obstacle course things on TV, and they have the little tidbits where the guys or gals are talking about championship mindset.
Yep. Yep.
And I just it feeds my mind, it feeds my energy and everything.
Yeah.
So and also too, the persistence. You're right about the persistence. So it's if I can break it down to the ingredients, is reducing fear, because I don't know if fear really goes away, but reducing it to the point it doesn't incapacitate you.
Right.
And persistence, which is why I called my conference GritCon. Angela Duckworth wrote the book Grit, and her agency actually gave me permission to use it for GritCon.
Right.
And grit was the other missing. So yeah, okay, you can drop fears, and certain things, but if you give up, then that's not doing yourself anything either. So, and some other things fall apart. Keep going. Keep going.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
That's what I got.
I agree with you, man. So I ask, and we're already at the end of the hour, man. So let me ask you this. I ask this question of everybody, and you almost, I think, probably just answered it, but I'm going to ask it anyway, and you can reiterate. But somebody that's stuck, they call you, they say, Ron, dude, my electric's being shut off tomorrow. My car was repossessed last week. My dog died. My husband or my wife is leaving me, and life's just falling apart. I can't afford food. Don't know what to do. What are you going to say to them to help them get past that mental block that's holding them back? Because that is definitely a mental block.
Yeah.
But what do you say to them to help them get through that?
Well, this is actually a call I take actually more frequently than I suspected, and that's expected. And that was new veteran entrepreneurs in my space. I don't know if I'm, the person that they look up to. I'm just a guy just trying to do what he's trying to do. Saying, Ron, you inspire me. I was like, okay, well, and they'll give me that call, and you're describing exactly like two guys that have called me. And
right.
This is exactly what I said. So it's not like a leap of understanding for me, as I've actually had this call. And I said, okay, well, before anything else, we kind of gonna have to. I'll be honest with you. I say brother? Brother. It's usually men. Veteran. Yeah. Brother. Can I say something? We got to work on you first.
Right.
So this is what's happening is a side effect of what's going on with you. I'll be honest.
Dude, they're shutting off my electric tomorrow.
So I'm gonna say you were at a job somewhere. Somebody did believe in you enough to pay you your worth. Now, I'm not saying maybe entrepreneurship or whichever right now is a way to go. Like I did, I went back to a 9-to-5. Let's see if we can market you and sell you to some employer somewhere for now, so you can build the bridge. Because really, I'll be honest, that corporate world 9-to-5 for 4 years was my bridge into this world. Sure. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to be where I'm at now. So. Sure. Yeah, then maybe let's find out if we can find an employer for your skill set or your previous skill set in the military. And I bet you, man, there's somebody out there that needs you. And all we got to do is figure out how we're going to go into the marketplace and connect the dot on that one. Because somebody did believe, it's not your first job ever. It's not the first time you've been in this situation. Let's do that. Let's work on that. So
love it, man. I love it. So it always, I think that it always comes down to the person.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about the business as much as it is about the person running the business. It's not about the job, the failure in a job, but about the person in the job.
Yes.
And the mindset. So, dude, I love it, man. I love it. I love what you're doing. I think you're incredible. I genuinely appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and be on here. And by the way, the software I used did not automatically tag you on Facebook, so you may want to go share this afterwards. Sorry, I meant to tell you that up front so you could share it, but I forgot.
I'll share.
Man, how can everybody follow you?
All right. Well, whiteboxmediaco.com. and I'll just throw it out there. Email address ron.s@whiteboxmediaco.com. Also, if you search around GritCon, C-O-N, just Google search it. I'm sure we'll come up. You'll see what we got going on for plans for the future and how we help businesses with our solution. But if I'm talking to a veteran entrepreneur community, Ron Suzuki everywhere on Twitter, social media, whichever.
Yeah.
Follow me directly, and I will take time out of my day to work with specifically veteran entrepreneurs, male, female, young, old. I don't care. And let's have a conversation for sure.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. So everybody, make sure you go follow Ron Suzuki on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, everywhere. So Ron, thank you again for coming on the show. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Ron, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's an honor. Thank you for your time too.
Yes, thank you. You guys have an awesome day. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye.